Good evening, everybody. This is much more formal than our summit here, so I will just give you a few short notes in the beginning. So very happy to see you all here, some people from the summit and some people who I'm sure attend events at the Japan Society very often. I will first tell you a little bit about the summit that was already mentioned, and then introduce our two speakers. So I will be very brief. The background for the summit is really the current crisis in student loans, right? The student loan crisis. So as those of you who teach in universities or maybe even attend universities will understand is that the situation is just cannot continue as it is, right? The American educational system is broken. And so this is very clear to students who want to enroll in universities but can't afford to do so. And from the United States to Germany, universities are just not able to enroll the very many people who want to have a college education. So universities think what they can do, and we at the New School are quite aware that, let's say, 10 years from now, the university just has to look drastically different to accommodate the needs of learners globally. And one of the ways in which we approach this is basically by thinking, how can we learn outside the university? And there are always two things that the university had going for itself, distinguish itself, that you could not do outside of institutions like that, of institutions of higher learning. And that's community building and accreditation. Right? So you can do very many things that you do in the university, also outside, but you will not have a degree. The Mozilla Foundation, who co-sponsors this summit, is about to roll out a program called Open Badges that will give accreditation for self-learning. And that's quite a drastic step, so that's quite a big change. So it really feels like quite an historical moment for us. It's a little bit maybe like 1999, for those of you who remember indie media. So it's sort of the indie media of education, you could say. And so with regard to this interest in self-learning, we are quite interested in possibilities given by mobile platforms, from cell phones to iPads and so on. And this is a context.
There we go. There we go. So some of you will speak Japanese fluently. For those of you, you will understand my name is a joke. But those of you who don't speak Japanese or understand the Osaka region dialect, I will translate it for you. So my surname, Ahonen, if it is pronounced the Japanese way, Ahone, it means literally, I am crazy. Tommy is the crazy guy of mobile. So you've met Tommy, the crazy guy. That's my opening joke. Okay, let's take a look at the world of mobile. I love Japan. Every one of my books, I tell the world that everything that happens in mobile in Japan will happen in the rest of the world. Japan is the most leading country in mobile, and anywhere else where I present about mobile things, I will have Japanese examples, including on Thursday when I'm speaking about the mobile learning topics. But today, because we will get specific Japanese examples, I said, okay, then that doesn't make any sense for me to talk about Japan. I will talk about all other countries, but not the United States. You'll know American examples. I don't need to give American examples for you. So if we eliminate the United States and Japan from the rest of the world, I will tell you what's happening in mobile in the rest of the world. The only one I want to mention about the world is just to show I'm not kidding when I'm saying Japan leads. I'm a rather heavily quoted statistician for the industry, so I have an index of global leadership in mobile, which I publish in my annual volume, the Tomi Ahonen Almanac. So this was not prepared for this event. This is the Almanac 2011, and in the table you also see the rank from 2009, so from 2010's Almanac. Japan is ranked number 1. Behind that, you see the rest of the countries. If you take 10 index points on this table, that's approximately 1 year of leadership. This index is built on the migration rate to 3G, the adoption of mobile data, the penetration of mobile phones per capita, and the adoption of advanced mobile phones, such as smartphones and other premium phones. Based on that, Japan leads every other country. If you compare to, let's say, Finland and Singapore, Japan is a year ahead. Compared to, let's say, Norway, Germany, Japan is 2 years ahead. United States comes over there with a ranking of 19th, 19, with 69% index, meaning Japan is about 2.5 years ahead of the United States in terms of its mobile industry. This is difficult for Americans to get their head around because the United States mostly tends to lead most technologies. They lead into the computer space, or aerospace, microbiology, almost everything else. But in mobile, the world leaders are truly Japan, South Korea, Italy, Austria, Taiwan, Finland, Singapore, Israel, Sweden. Much, much, much ahead of the United States. But let's look at a couple of examples. Mobile is the 7th mass medium. You don't need to buy my book. Go to Wikipedia. It has all the stuff. The 7 media, just to put them in context to understand what this means. If we look at the 7 media in the sequence they were introduced, the oldest mass medium is print, newspapers, magazines, books, pamphlets, billboards. Second medium is recordings, so records, then video games and movies and so forth, CDs, DVDs. Then came cinema, third media, fourth media is radio, fifth media, television. Sixth medium is the internet, seventh mass medium is mobile. The critical point here to understand, and I've been arguing this very, very, very passionately for 10 years, mobile is different from the internet. Mobile is as different from the internet as television is different from radio. Don't try to squeeze the internet onto the mobile phone. That's as stupid as trying to do radio on television. It can be done, but that's just stupid. Mobile is much, much, much better, much, much more, very different. Don't try to copy one to get to the other. Why that? Because mobile has 9 unique abilities. The 9th unique ability was discovered last Friday by Russell Buckley, ex-AdMob, ex-Google, famous author and so forth. So now, while if you've been reading my books, I've been talking about the 8 unique abilities of mobile. In reality, there are 9. These are all things you cannot do on the internet. You cannot do on DVD. You cannot do on digital TV, digital radio, no other digital media, video games, and so forth. Only on mobile. 9 unique abilities. Any one of these 9 is a key to make profitable services and satisfied customers. And mobile has 9 unique abilities. I will show a statistic from every one of these 9 and a mobile service from around the world of each one of these. My service examples will all be from outside of the United States and Japan. A couple of the statistics will be US, and I've tried to mix in a lot of youth-related examples and statistics, and a couple of education-related statistics and examples also in here. But there will be other uses as well. So let's go. First benefit is mobile is the first personal mass medium. Statistics, education-related, youth-related from South Africa. Mathematics practice courses, exercises delivered on mobile phones. They ran these on, so it's like textbooks, practice exams, but delivering the math practice through your cell phone. They were developed by Nokia and this book publisher, Maskew Miller Longman. They ran it for 4,000 students in 30 schools in South Africa. After taking these exams in the national exams of South Africa, the students who took part in these math courses scored on average 14% better scores. In the American grading system, that's a whole grade better. If your kid scored a D, now he or she scores a C. If your kid scored a B, now scores an A. A whole grade, letter grade better score, 14% better scores. Just because they were given the math exams to practice on their phones. Doesn't every parent in this room want your school to do this today? You know, and do this for biology, and do this for geography, and do this for history, and so forth. Come on, 14% better scores. So that's what we can do with mobile. How about a service example from Sweden? Ringback songs used to launch music. So ringback tones are very early, starting here in America. They were invented in South Korea. They're very big in Russia and Turkey and very many countries around the world, including Sweden. So ringback tone, if you don't know what it is a little bit like music on hold. But it is when you call someone, you are waiting for your friend to pick up the phone. You hear the noise from the network on AT&T, which gives you bzzz, 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 when they're ringing your friend's phone. Rather than you hearing that buzzing noise, your friend selects the song that you listen to. That's ringback tones. So it's a kind of variant on the ringing tone kind of business. Ringback tones were used by this Swedish lady, Veronica Maggio, one of the pop stars of Sweden. She's released her song Lördagen den 15 mars, which literally means Saturday 15th of March, and love song. She selected her greatest fan from all of her fans in Sweden. A boy by the name of, I don't remember his name, Firat Delen in Sweden. And they made her song available only as the ringback tone of that boy's phone number. You had to call that boy's phone to listen to the song. He wouldn't answer, so you can listen to the whole song to the end. His phone rang non-stop for 2 weeks. You could not listen to the song on radio. It was not available on MP3. Ringback tones cannot be pirated. So there was no other way to listen to the song. What happened to the song when she finally releases the song? It debuts at number 1 on the charts. So, and obviously, every single person in Sweden who likes the girl knows that this boy is her number 1 fan, right? So it's a kind of, fan club, celebrity kind of thing. Okay, what can we do with unique benefit number 2? Mobile is permanently connected. Statistic from Britain, crazy statistic. 10% of British youth think it is okay to send a text message while having sex. I come from Finland, and in Finland we have very liberal sexual mores, but even I can't quite understand this. So I'm 51 years old. I'm obviously too old for this age segment. Young people on Facebook wanting to tell everything what they're doing in their lives. 10% in Britain think it's okay to tell your friends while you're having sex, sending text message, hand underneath a pillow, beep, beep, sending the message. So what can we do with this service example from Finland? This is the intelligent medical bottle. In this case, this is the intelligent sunscreen bottle. The sunscreen bottle is identified with your phone. You associate it with your phone. The sunscreen bottle knows what sunscreen strength is on and when the sunscreen was applied. When that sunscreen has hit the time, they know what kind of weather you have at the beach today. Is it sunny or cloudy? They look real-time weather from the weather radar, and they will send you a message when you need to put on your t-shirt. Very clever. But these kind of things become possible when we combine mobile and new kind of services. Unique benefit number 3, only mobile is always carried. We sleep with our phone, we take it to the bathroom, we really do not live without it. Statistics here from America, youth study from Chacha from 2010. If young people were forced to pick a device, of course they pick the mobile phone today as their number 1 device. Number 2 comes the computer, number 3 is television and radio. But the more interesting statistic, you think they're a Facebook generation, you think they're an instant messaging generation, look at this. If forced to pick their favorite way to communicate, 68% of American teens say their favorite way to communicate in 2010 is SMS. Voice calls number 2, 10%. Facebook number 3, 9%. Instant messaging number 4, 3%. Email, 0.3%. Don't think for one moment that there's any future in email. Email has long since gone. Only old people communicate, or work stuff is done on email. Everything else is done on SMS. Okay, so what can we do with this unique ability? Interesting example from the area of media. Print media, Hockey News magazine in Canada. So Weekly magazine talks about ice hockey. We know here New York Rangers, etc. Got plenty of hockey fans here too. So Hockey News was afraid that they might lose readership to digital media, but they finally launched their mobile version in 2009. It did not cannibalize their print media. They actually gained 300,000 paying new subscribers to their mobile service. If you put that to United States context, for any American, if it's the NFL magazine or NBA magazine, that would be 3 million paying customers, Canada, USA scale. And then look at this part. The print edition increased sales by 5%. This is in year 2009, the economy world crash. where every other newspaper and magazine is struggling to stay alive, and the Hockey News increases print sales by 5% because they offered a mobile version. Every print magazine should learn, The Economist does this with India, releasing their headline services and things like that. So, unique benefit number 4, mobile has a built-in payment channel. Statistic from Kenya, 30% of the total Kenya GDP now transits a mobile phone. The future of money is mobile. What can we do with this? Why do we need to print any kind of things like stamps? Why do we have to kill any trees to make stamps? This is a totally archaic idea. Licking these stupid things, standing in line at the post office to buy all those stamps. All you need is a cell phone, order the stamp, you get a unique code, alphanumeric code, 12 digits, you handwrite them onto your envelope and you send your envelope. No stamps needed. This is introduced in Germany, launched in Denmark and Norway. Many other post offices are now adapting the same idea. Brilliant, simple, things that we can do, every person can do. Unique benefit number 5, mobile is available at the creative impulse. Statistic from here is from the United States Nielsen survey, again of youth, 2010, found that 42%, 4 out of 10 kids can send text messages blindfolded with their phone behind their back, etc. Similar statistic to an earlier study from the UK, 48% of British kids admit to sending text messages while they are talking to someone else, like talking to their parents or talking to their teacher. They're simultaneously, their hand is in their pocket and they're sending a text message to someone else. So partly kids can multitask and partly they're not necessarily paying attention to us older people. Okay, service example from this, most amazing shopping example of today from South Korea. So this is Home Plus, so this is like Walmart in the United States, Tesco's affiliate. Home Plus has introduced shopping at the subway station. Imagine taking the D train, these people are walking into the subway here in the middle of this. They've taken these big posters, which are pictures of items in real scale size of shopping. So the orange juice, the milk, the cornflakes, etc. You take your camera phone and you take a picture, you come close to it. I need some orange juice here. There's a QR code, you just click on it, take a picture, and it's added onto your shopping cart. The stuff is delivered to your home before you're there. This is South Korea today. So this is what we can do with mobile. What happened to the store? Look at the statistic. They increased sales 130%. If you're here working for Walmart and you increase your store sale 30%, you're the national sales champ. You will become immediately sales manager of all of the Northeast region, superstar sales guy. They increased sales 130%. So this is the future of what we will doing with mobile, converging with purchases and shopping. Unique benefit number 6, mobile measures the audience most accurately. Interesting statistic just now published by Google and Ipsos in Hong Kong last month. 22% of Hong Kong smartphone owners had changed their mind while in a shop because of something they saw on their mobile phone. If you're in retail, this means you have to do a mobile optimized website now, because this is happening with your shoppers too. Whoever you are, you have to make sure that they go to your website. You have to put big posters inside your store and say, go to our website for more. You want more information? If you don't find it in my store, go to our website, talk to us, etc. and so forth. You don't want them to go to your competitor website. This is what consumers are already doing. What can we do with this? Don't you want this April 15th? Tax returns. You can submit your tax return by SMS. Estonia became the second country, invented in Norway. This is going to spread. This is coming everywhere. Unique benefit number 7, only mobile captures the social context of our consumption. Education example from Britain, museums set up with schools called something My Art Space. So they had 3 museums, 3 museums, 100 schools. They took 3,000 high school age kids to the museums. They arranged a social media treasure hunt, blogging, twittering, picture editing, mashing kind of an environment to make it fun to go to the museum. Look at the statistics in red. The kids spent 4.5 times longer time in the museum in the presence of their teachers than they did before. How successful is that? We can do wonderful things when we enable these kind of services with our mobile. What can we do in terms of a practical service from Sweden? Steal this Mini. They had a virtual Mini that was parked in Stockholm. The person who got closest to that Mini with their cell phone stole the Mini. Now it was on your phone, and then we tracked from the network where you went. And on your mobile phone's movement, you run away. Your friends chase you. The person who is closest to you captures the Mini and then runs away. And then jumps in the bus and goes away, and then takes his bicycle and runs away. And someone else looks on their phone, where are you, and intercepts you and grabs the Mini and runs away. The last person to end this race who holds the Mini wins the real car. It's cool little social media race, in cyberspace. Unique benefit number 8, mobile enables augmented reality. So augmented reality is this ability where you look through your phone and you see additional stuff. So the big company in this is called Liar from the Netherlands. So this is Amsterdam, you're looking at the canal. You can see the picture. If you look through the mobile phone, it superimposes these red dots. Behind every one of these red dots, there's further information. You want to find the nearest ATM, you want to buy this house, there's a house for sale, you want to find where's the nearest toilet, where's the nearest restaurant, Pizza Hut, whatever. So depending on what you're looking for, you can ask for that kind of information. It will add further information for you. But what can we do with augmented reality? Here's an example from England, a service example. Lynx, the deodorant brand, also known as Axe in some markets, they have print magazine ads of these girls, sexy girls, young boys. You want to see what this looks like, you have to take out your phone to see it. And when you take out your phone, this is what you see. She's not naked, she's in a bikini, but sexy enough. The young boys will of course want to take a look at this and so forth. So these are the kind of things we can make a print ad interactive with mobile. Unique benefit number 9, this is the one that Russell Buckley just invented Friday. If you've been reading my stuff, I used to say there were 8 unique benefits. This is number 9. Mobile offers a digital interface to the real world. We can connect digitally to anything in the real world. Truly amazing examples. I will be writing and cataloging a lot. I don't have much at this point. I don't have a statistic for you, but let me show you 2 examples. One is your hotel. Why do you have to stand in line to check into a hotel and again to check out? To get that stupid plastic card to operate the locks? No point. We've got the mobile phone. We can have the mobile phone operating as locks. So Assa Abloy, the world's biggest lock maker, is already now piloting these locks on hotels in Sweden and so forth. Soon it will be natural. You will sign up to your hotel room on your mobile phone, pay for it on your mobile phone. They will issue your key onto your mobile phone. If you try staying in your room too long, the key no longer works, obviously. So, and what can we do with this? Don't you want this if you're anyone in business and working in contracts, any kind of signature? Spain became the first country to accept SMS-based signatures, contract, legally binding. Turkey is the second country to join this. So this is also the future. Everyone has a mobile phone. We can use SMS to accept contracts. So those were the examples I wanted to show you. I want to end with 2 thoughts. First of all, from Chetan Sharma, the statistician and industry analyst for mobile. He says the world in the next 10 years will change more, the total world, not just the technology world, will change more in the next 10 years than it has in the previous 100. All of you who are involved in education or involving in other kind of change management within corporations and so forth, or you have teams to run and so forth, if you thought it was painful the last few years adjusting to this world of broadband internet and social media and mobile and so forth, it will get much more difficult for your people over the next 10 years. Be prepared for that. Help them overcome the trouble with those changes. And the last thought from Eric Schmidt, put your best people on mobile. This is the biggest economic opportunity of our lifetime. Put your best people on your mobile project. So, domo arigato. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shin Mizukoshi from the University of Tokyo. Today, my presentation is a bit different from what Tomi Ahonen did. And he, at the first slide of his one, he showed us that the number 1 is Japan. And yes, it's industrial way, that's a number 1. But I came from the number 1 country, but it means that mobile saturated country, but many melancholy and pessimism. And not only in culture, but also in the industry. And what I'm going to show you today is kind of the one concrete project among our laboratory and the KDDI. KDDI is the second largest Japan's mobile phone carrier that has a research division, research institute, and I will go on a very concrete example today. But very first context is that I will show you some difficulties of the mobile media in two ways. One is a mobile research itself. Because I am a researcher of the media studies, I think that I agree to Tomi Ahonen that the internet and the mobile is different. And when I was in the New York City at the Columbia University from 96 to 97, the so-called computer-mediated communication studies are kind of the full of flowers. And today we are engaging in the mobile communication research, but mobile research people are very different from the CMC because most of the mobile researchers are from the cultural anthropology, different from the traditional communication research. And from the standpoint of the saturated mobile country, there are many difficulties about mobile research. One is a kind of banality. When we got the new gadget for about 1 year or half a year, it's take for granted, and it's like water for fish. And it's very hard to, how shall I say, make a distance from this new but banal gadget, or to make this new medium as the familiar thing is very difficult things. And the other thing is that there are many media discourse that many people are trumpeting that the mobile industry is the number one, and mobile can do this kind of things and this kind of things, and this kind of discourse are mediated by media, including the mobile. So when we are thinking about the mobile media, because we are like a fish in the water of the mobiles, and discourse of the mobile are coming from the media, so things are very complicated. What I want to tell you is that the academia or the academic research needs defamiliarization, make the distance from the research object. But it's very hard for us, teachers, industrial people, me, and the student. Yes, we can say something about mobile very well, with a patchwork of the mediated discourses. But what a media, what kind of media this is, it's very hard to tell or examine. This is a very fundamental thing for every kind of the research, but it's very hard. That's one very difficulties which I feel in Japan. And the other one is Japan's problem. The most sensational, keywords are invented couple of years ago among industrial people, but 2 years ago it's a big hit. The Galapagosization. You know the meaning. The Galapagos Islands are situated in the west part of the east part of the Pacific Ocean, and it's isolated, and it has a original evolution. It's an example of the Charles Darwin. And in Japan, the industrial system or institutional system of mobile is very unique. Roughly speaking, it's very career-oriented one. So when we Japanese describe the mobile, Ahonen-san's mobile is KDDI, or my mobile is NTT Docomo. We don't say that it's Nokia or it's Samsung. So it means that it's a symbolic thing that in Japan, a mobile phone carrier is very strong, and government accepted it, and it has a kind of the vertical integration for the makers or the service providers. And it's a very nice development around 2007 was so, but after the Lehman shock, it's going down, and it was called and criticized as a Garaponization. And there are many other things that in Japan, very regimented society, still now the anti-Keitai movement, Keitai means a mobile in Japanese, is very popular. So the many government people who don't understand the mobile situation in young cultures trumpeted that we should, keep the children with a whitey or rosy mind from the dirty mobile things or something like that. But at the same time, the government trumpeted that the mobile, the next future industry. So it's very, complicated things. But the youngsters enjoy the so-called cute culture, and it's still very cool. And it's very much overlap to South Korea or Taiwanese, and the East Asian countries enjoy this kind of cute cultures. But anyhow, the Japanese people use mobile in a very calm way, in a subway, like a robotic way, in this way. Only, I think, Finnish people understand this kind of things. No Swedish or no Norwegian or no Hong Kongese or others. We did a kind of a survey, but we skipped it. Okay, for this kind of the difficulties, we have launched a project called Mode Project. This is another project which a chairperson introduced for me. And the MODE is an abbreviation of Mobiling and Designing Project, and it's basically research originated from the media studies. But I am belonging to the very interdisciplinary department. I am collaborating with engineering people and artificial intelligence people and information designers, and not only do the analysis, but to produce a cultural program and technological system for the future of the mobile. And fortunately, we are making a very international team with Finnish and Norwegian and Danish and Korean and Taiwanese. Sorry for no American people. Well, this is a kind of the figure which I described today's Japanese situation. I think this is not only Japanese, but I want to ask Tomi Ahonen about the world situation. The upper side is a mobile industry, the black box, and many people are working over there. And the reason why I launched the MODE project is one day I was asked by the president of the former president of the NTT Docomo, Mr. Tachikawa. Tachikawa asked me, Shin, I don't understand what this is anymore, that this means a mobile. Because they are working very hard to develop the world cutting-edge technologies, but PTA people or educators or the politicians are blaming it's a bad thing for the under 15s or junior high school students. But at the same time, they said that this is a kind of the treasure for the future industry. So what's going on? We don't understand it. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that when I met many times with the research institute's engineer of the KDDI, the rival of the NTT Docomo, they said, yes, we are making this kind of thing, and they are like mad scientists like people, and they show us, oh, this is this kind of things and this kind of things, and their hairstyle is very unique, and I love those kind of people very much. But when I ask them, what kind of pop stars are doing? Do you know what kind of pop stars are doing the TV commercial for your products? They don't know. And what part? Well, in which part your device is building? They don't know. They only understand what they are doing, and they're very scattered or institutionalized. And so, what I want to say is that the Keitai industry is a kind of the black box from the general people first, and also for the the industry's practitioner, like the engineer or the manager, they don't understand all the things. If this is a Lincoln Continental or the, such like a Lexus or such kind of the automobile, it may be more easy to understand or have the integrated image about their own products. But the mobile is very hard to understand because the network. Mobile is not only this kind of device, but there is a huge network, very subtle network. And also here is a device, and here is a software and application and people's user-generated contents. So things are very multi-layered, and they are working very hard on some small devices, institutionalized, and they don't have the integrated image of their brand or their products. And here are some rosy techno-driven discourse and or criticism of Galapagosization and anti-Keitai discourses. So there is a big information gap between the user and the industry and among the industry. And what we are going to do is to connect between the industry, especially the engineering people, to understand the reality, everyday life reality of the our users. And the second, for the general people to recapture, realize what the mobile is. So we are focusing on this first and second as introducing the methodology of the workshop. And do some research with the KDDI Research Institute from 2008 to 2008, 9, 10, last year. Yeah. And I will show very briefly about the first one and the second workshop example. And it's hard to describe you. One is what we mainly do. In the mobility shifts, I think the main context, as Torvalds described very clearly, that we are focusing on the how to learn by mobile or how to learn by social media or learning by those kind of new medium. But what we are focusing on is that learning about this mobile, learning about the social media, what the mobile or what the social media is. These two learning is like a integration. So we need both sides of that. And I am focusing on the latter side. And this is a very simple thing, and you can do in a very humorous way with your family or with your neighborhood people. Just tell the people to get together to tell your mobile and your memory about the mobile or your very impressive incident over the mobile or something like that. For example, this black mobiles one is here is a description by the 87-year-old female person. Here is a small picture that shows the red tan leaf in the mountain area of Japan. And when the 77-year-old person go abroad, she couldn't understand the foreign language. It's French. So she showed this beautiful picture, and they can communicate each other. And she is learning the French for many years, but she couldn't tell anything in front of the person. So, but because of the picture, she can do such kind of thing. So this is a very, very small thing and trivial thing, but for her, it's very important thing. And the picture over there about the text messages, it's about the young university student got a first email message from her mother. There is a description by Japanese. From now on, I will go out from the hospital and take a bus and arrive at. it's very funny that she put their heart like a icon, because first of all, putting the Japanese text on the mobile or on the computer is a very complicated one compared to the alphabetical countries. First, put by alphabet and transfer to Japanese and choose some Chinese character or something like that, and stop the thinking. So she is doing that at the first time, and she do that from the house entrance to of the hospital and to go to the take the bus, and during the bus she do this kind of thing, and finally she arrived at. So there is no need for her to bring this message to her daughter, but she arrived it. But she it's very comical, and she imagined. The daughter imagined her mother very seriously do in this way, and very hurtful, images. And the last bit, very dirty, some things on the back of the mobile. It's also the mobile narrative from the one almost 80-year-old male person. I don't understand what's going on, but he want to understand these functions, how to use these functions seriously. So he again and again read the manual, because he did a phone call. There is a push button or something like this. He quit it, and he cannot use the internet. So he again and again read the manual, but he couldn't understand. I couldn't understand, So he cut that by the scissors and put that at the backside. And for 7 years, he's waiting someone who can, answer this question. And this is about the Docomo's things, but the KDDI Research Institute's engineer kindly, show how to do it. This kind of things, very trivial things, nothing. However, I think almost all of you have this kind of things, And if we have this kind of the meeting-like things, without this kind of meeting kind of places, we will never say anyone, like your husband or your son or your most intimate people, never say this kind of things. So we need some place to share this kind of the memory or narrative or difficulty or something like that, especially among the, aged people. And I should skip something, but this is a thing that I asked the student in Tokyo and Helsinki to do the typical scene of the mobile in Tokyo, in Helsinki, and do the play, and to put the explanation, and take the video and exchange. And what is the typicality, and what is the stereotype? We are examining each other. And this is also done among the Shanghai and Barcelona and I forgot. Yeah, Australia and Korea. Yeah, they are these are Japanese people assisted by those countries' students in my lab, and try to make a short content, like 1 minute or so, to show what the Barcelona's typical people are using or enjoying a mobile life. And because, I know well about the Japanese situation, that most of you are from the United States, and you know the Japanese, mid-towns usage of the mobile. And mobile is a global industry and technology, but few people, like Ahonen, understand the difference, cultural difference, but almost all people are living in a very domestic water-like place, and try to compare and in a bodily feeling, and do the play is very hard. Making the presentation by slides is more easy, bodily fundamental understanding of what the mobile is or playing the Barcelona's situation is very different from Japan, and that's a very precious opportunity for Japanese students to make a defamiliarization of their mobile. And this is I did the comparative studies between the different countries. This is a 95 Tokyo and the 2009 Tokyo. 95, few mobiles. So people were getting together before coming to some place and something like that. And this is a timelines differences or defamiliarization. I want to put one small example about the engineering areas workshop. And I will quit my presentation. This is a workshop among the general people and the elitist engineers to try to develop the Keitai burial style. What's going on after we are passed away with the mobile? There are many messages. I don't want to show all of my message to my wife or son, and something like that happened. And almost all people are using mobile, but never think about the mobile after one's death. So first we asked to them make the lunch lecture with there is a burial journalist in Japan. He's producing the magazine about burial, monthly burial, and the cultural anthropologist, lecturing what the burial is or what this kind of things. After that, the lay person and the professional engineer for the display or IC kit was AR try to discuss to develop the plans. And this is also a very unfamiliar situation for the engineers, because engineers had some target or mission and do in 5 months or something like that. It's very systematical. But after the burial, what's going on? Well, the other example is Keitai mobile plug out workshop. We want to run away from the mobile, or we want to run away from the social messages. How to run away and manage to keep the everyday life. So it's a very unfamiliar issues, and plus discuss with a layperson is very hard for the engineer to cannot use a special term, and sometimes layperson knows more about the reality of the mobile. So what we've done is this kind of the very funny workshops, and try to digging in the fundament of the existence of the mobile. And also, I think this kind of the study is a very important thing for the media literacy of mobile. And it must be very plus. It must be for the mobile learning or mobile industry in the future. I want to say something about the post-311 society and the mobile media, but already 5 minutes over, so thank you very much.
I hope you have questions.
Well, today I am focusing on the Japan situation. And as you know very well, Japan's industry or institutional system of the mobile is, relatively unique one. And because of the situation, we try to do this kind of the very funny trial in the industry and among the citizens. And could you, how do you think about the other countries' situation? If these kind of things are they need these kind of things?
There are so many areas where I felt personally touched by your presentation, because I've seen similar kind of issues and they touch me very deeply. I'd love to understand much more the human side of how we interact with this technology that I personally love, mobile phones. I'm an ex-Nokia guy, so I've really lived this space for a very long time. But I think from the study of the changes to society, from everything from this anti-Keitai phenomenon of we should have silent zones in trains, people shouldn't use cell phones in the restaurant, under 15-year-olds should not have phones, this kind of thinking, we've seen it everywhere. That it's not in any way a unique Japanese phenomenon or a unique Finnish phenomenon. All societies are going through that kind of adjustment. But I think Japan is a particularly rich place for us to study because Japan got there first. They were the first country to launch cellular NTT back even before the famous Motorola phone here launched in Chicago by Ameritech. Then Japan had 4 years more history of the cellular phone. So in that sense, the issues that you've been studying will be relevant to all other countries, but we have more of a societal experience of it for a longer period of time than if we compare to Brazil or if we compare to Russia or if we compare to much of the emerging world countries. For them, it's a very, very, very new and exciting technology, and they're just excited about the enormous growth and employment and so forth that it brings.
That's my first question.
Yeah. Equally, I'd like to ask Shin-san if you could tell us a little bit how you see the differences from that Galapagos Island thinking. Where do you think that thinking is wrong? Where you think some of that, where people are very quick to say, oh, that will only happen in Japan. Are there parts where you are rather convinced, no, this is more a human nature thing, that even though it's been witnessed in Japan already, it will come to America, it will come to Europe?
Yes, I agree to you. And well, I think that from the macro level, the keyword Galapagosization is a very suitable word in a couple of years situation in Japan. But when we are going to the meso level and the micro level, to the industry or to the classroom, things are different. And there are many serious engineers who are thinking about the future, and also they are leading teachers already make a kind of the nationwide a network for using the mobile, and not only mobile but the tablet style, the iPad-like things, and mixed with the paper and mobile or something like that. So after the shock of the iPhone in late 2007, there are many Galapagos smartphone. Galapagos smartphone. Smartphone is abbreviation in Japan about the smartphone. Smartphone Galapagos or something like that already emerging. So things are like this, and the kind of the very cutting edge, but the very domestic evolution of technology or culture not only happen in Japan, been mixed to the mainstream, technology or stream. And again, there will be another very, interesting future is going to come, I think.
Let me ask you a question to both of you. Coming from the learning space and thinking about self-learning and the web, internet, there are many open educational resources, right? So you have access, of course, online to Wikipedia, to YouTube clips and syllabi at MIT, and you name it. All of the availability of this material doesn't necessarily mean that learning takes place, right? So having this material available is one thing, and then learning is quite another. So what the missing component there is the kind of pedagogy grouped around these open resources. So now moving to mobile phones, if you think about mobile learning, again, like everybody has a technology. Have you thought about methodologies or ways in which you facilitate the learning that ought to take place?
Do you want to take that first? Okay. I think one of the exciting examples I find when I'm not a mobile learning specialist. So my specialty is how the mobile industry makes money. So I'm, let's make sing ringtones and hockey scores and whatever kind of, do your banking and so forth. They're all on your mobile phone. But I have a passion in mobile learning. So that's why I'm trying to study and understand this space, and I have collected several examples in that space. But one of the areas which I think is a particularly rich opportunity is if we take the phenomenon of social media, and we take the phenomenon of the virtual worlds, and we take user-generated content and these kind of experiences and merge them together. Excellent example from Hong Kong is Artificial Life, which developed a virtual Tamagotchi kind of a toy, which was the virtual girlfriend, virtual boyfriend on your cell phone. Now, you would think the target audience is a single guy jet-setting around the world who can't hold on to a girlfriend and never got married, so obviously I need a virtual girlfriend, right? The only kind of girlfriend I can hope to have. But the actual heavy users, the biggest usage of this service, they had like 4 million downloads of it, long before there was an app store. So around the world. So the biggest number of users were teenagers under the age of 14. Boys and girls who had never had a real girlfriend or real boyfriend, who are afraid and panicking that soon I'm going to have my first girlfriend. I don't know what to do. How do I manage the relationship? I don't want to fail in that. So I practice with a virtual girlfriend. Exactly. So this is there are tools like, for example, in Finland we have this crazy game for engineers to learn to talk to women. Engineers mostly men and very unsocial and incapable. And Finns are extreme. I'm not a typical Finn. Finns don't speak at all, so they're completely just like a long conversation with a Finn is the word no. That is a long conversation. So trying to teach them, if you take the extreme population of Finns and their extreme, the engineers, and try to make them social, of course you do it with a video game. So they had, again, a video game to teach how to be a romantic for engineers. So, just a virtual avatar-based, interaction game. But just as a method, one of the opportunities, which will be very rich very soon, where every phone will be a smartphone long before this decade is done, is these kind of avatars and virtual learning, when we add the social element to it, and that sense. So I think that's a promising area. I'm hoping to see a lot of evolution development.
Well, your question is very important and fundamental and very hard to answer. The 2007, I published a book about mobile. The title is, it's Japanese book, but the title is Communal Keitai. Again, Keitai is mobile. Communal is the community virus. Communal Keitai and reviving the mobile media society. And in Japan, mobile media societies already existed. And it's very commercial. For example, you showed us the AR, something like that things, and that was also in Japan and once very popular, called Sekai Camera. Yeah, and when we watch through the iPhone, we can see many general people's comments, not only the a PR or advertisement, but there are many comments, and they say that we can use this kind of things for the public art or museum or school education or something like that. But as a result, most of the comments are very commercial, like very advertisement or people for the sightseeing or gourmet or something like that. And what I am thinking about today's Japanese problem of the mobile media society is that if here is a very commercial or superior, and here is a very, very, very private superior, I think here must be some very communal or public space, including the education. And using the mobile for the education, I think we need something more than the technology or industry. And yes, technological development is very important. But according to that, we need a kind of the development of the cultural program, including learning program. Without the cultural program, the technology is going automatically, and we are going to be the Android, obeyed to the Google or something like that. And in other words, I think that even for the mobile, we need a community, because the media itself is fundamentally, a kind of the tool for the communication, and communication for what? To people to connect each other. And yes, the distance learning is making a kind of the community itself as a result. So, try to make a cultural program and to develop or encourage the community, which is suitable for each learning program by mobile, is very inevitable and important. And one of our colleagues' very early trial about the mobile usage for the learning is that, for the mobile the display, there is a tree, tree-like things. And on the online side, they are doing the kind of the discussion about something like about the scientific things among the classroom people. And so, they are using the physical classroom and also the internet online community. And mobile is, because the displays at that time very limited. And, using the mobile in a very serious way is very hard for the saturated media society. If only the mobile, it's only inevitable things, but for the saturated society, they are going to gain. So they try to make a system that if you did some suggestion and there is a response, here is some leaf on the tree and some flower on the display on the small screen. And it's like a game, very trivial thing, but it's very nice and like a Facebook like or something like that. Or poke already not. But so we can use the mobile and online internet and physical space and paper and multimedia collaborate with each other. And again, making the community via the mobile is very important, inevitable thing. And for that, educator or cultural people or humanistic researcher can do many things from now on, I think.
Can I comment on that? So completely agree. And to underline, emphasize, I think it's rather easy for us to immediately understand that there are times where a mobile phone or an iPad or a laptop can help us do remote learning. We have a student who's injured, is in hospital, had an accident, playing, football, and a couple of days misses a little bit of school time. We can help the student keep up with classwork remotely. That's the easy part. The much more difficult part, and this will be a huge pain of learning something new for the educators, is how do we bring that device into the classroom? Can we actually make the learning experience even richer by using the device allowed in the classroom? There's just recently there was a story about, I don't know the specifics, but I just saw the headline, that there was a geometry teacher who was using Angry Birds, the game, to teach students to calculate, trajectories of ballistics, etc. So that there are things that we can do, but that takes a completely different level of competence for the educators to understand what is possible in this media without then having all the kids do nothing but doing their Facebook updates, class and sending, dirty jokes to each other. So it needs to be managed, but it can be used, and it can make the learning experience very much more engaging.
Yeah, I also have this experience with my students where I can only exactly echo what you said, which is that I have this little program where I can see if they open my email, and so about a third of them, and it's not my fault, open it, right? So and it's because email for them is really just used to talk to the man, right? So what I did is basically I communicate with them through a texting mailing list. And from that moment on, everybody is always in the picture. So it's basically we set up a texting mailing list, and basically the entire communication for the class goes through the mobile phone, which they always have on them, and they never check their email, right? I mean, hardly ever. So, and that's just a cultural thing, and I found just to attune myself to, where their habits lie, really helped the learning. But this is a moment to open it up to you for maybe 3 or 4 questions. Yeah, that's Jan. And yeah, please with the microphone.
Thank you. My name is Janek Sowa. I'm a participant of the summit. I represent Free University Warsaw. I have actually two questions to Tomi Ahonen. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation. The issues I would like to raise, first is a sort of not really serious, because you said that the world is going to change more in the next 10 years than it has changed in the last 100. So could you maybe play a sort of futurologist and tell us what do you think would be the eighth medium, right, after the mobile? Now the second thing is much more serious. I think that I found somehow disappointing in your presentation was that so many of your examples, actually I would say majority, were coming from two fields or domain, consumption and entertainment. There were some examples of social interactions. However, I would say they were, at least some of them, of questionable value. I mean, would you like your partner to be sending SMS while having sex with you? I would say majority of people would say no. The same, the virtual girlfriend, boyfriend. There was actually this quite horrible story from Japan about couple who had a baby several months old, and the baby died, starved, because they were playing a game taking care of a baby. So that's it doesn't really have to be so the consequences, they don't have to be so good. And so I would say if really mobile would be, first of all, for the benefit of marketers and businessmen, then this would be I would say pathetic medium, much more closer to TV than print, I mean in social consequences. Of course, I don't want to ask you what are the positive emancipatory examples, because we all know about the so-called Twitter revolutions, although this term is somehow derogatory, yes, however, the role of social media and mobile devices is difficult to deny. My question would be, do you think this positive emancipatory empowerment side is big enough to counterbalance a sort of dark side that you have not spoken about, and we have heard about this morning, the cryptopticon, right? We are being followed and we don't know that we are being followed and watched and so on. Personally, I wouldn't like to live in a world where you gotta have a payphone, gotta have a mobile phone to buy a bottle of water or a roll. Because if I decide to switch my phone off or not to have a phone, I'm gonna starve. And that's a very, very dark future. Thank you.
Well, very good, thank you. First on what will be the eighth medium. I wish I knew, I would write the book immediately. There are some theories. David Cushman said, we, the person, the unique person, is the eighth medium. Raimo van der Klein, CEO of LIAR, said that augmented reality will be the eighth medium. I think both are valid arguments. We need to monitor them as they evolve. It might be something totally radically different. So like 10 years ago, few people thought that social media could ever be more than very, very bizarre little chat groups about very funky topics on the edges of the internet, but nobody could foresee a Facebook or YouTube or a phenomenon like this. But then looking at the dark side, let me, on the evolution, future is 10 years on that dimension. Just for you to understand, if you take your favorite phone today, your iPhone 4, your Galaxy 2, your BlackBerry Bold, whatever it is, Nokia N8, your favorite phone today, it costs roughly $600 to sell without the subsidy. So when we remove AT&T's contract, if you buy it without contract, it costs about $600, your favorite phone, whichever it is. If you apply Moore's law, 10 years from now, at the end of this decade, that same phone can be manufactured 3.5-inch touchscreen, Wi-Fi, 3G, 8-megapixel camera, all of this, what we have today in our pocket, can be manufactured and sold profitably for $10. Today, the phones in Africa, low-cost phones, cost about $20. Everyone in Africa, more than half of Africa has a mobile phone. Everyone in Africa who can afford to buy a basic text-only phone today, voice and text, will have the equivalent of what we look at an iPhone before this decade is done. That is the future. If you think about the computer in every pocket, the children, computer in every classroom, it will be the mobile phone. Now onto the dark side. Mobile is a technology, it is neutral. It has good things, it has bad things. There are horrible examples, everything from government intimidation that we saw in Israel, Gaza, these kind of things. We had the Libyan government, etc., and so forth. Several instances where governments have used the mobile networks to intimidate their populations. We've seen happy slapping kind of phenomenon. We had children pornography pictures taken at swimming pools. So swimming pools almost everywhere, forbidden camera phones. Just things like pedophiles, etc., taking pictures of kids naked and so forth. So just that there are lots of bad things with any technology, including mobile. I think the point you touched upon, which I often had not thought about, is that mobile is so successful at monetizing silly services like the crazy frog ringing tone and your fart sounds and all the kind of silliness that we can do with the mobile phone. It's so easy to make money on it. That's going to be a huge opportunity. It doesn't mean that there is not a significant social benefit. So while there is the attention is on the Angry Birds and all the craziness we can do with this industry, there is also a huge benefit to letting populations have digital connectivity everywhere. Good example from South Korea is the e-government is all mobilized. Every person can contact any government official. So you've got a pothole on the street here in Manhattan and it's not fixed, and you want to complain, you can send a message directly to the actual person, city government, who's actually involved with potholes on this section of town and report it and so forth. So that we can get that kind of citizen empowerment, which the internet kind of promised. But until everyone has the internet, will not happen. But everyone has a mobile phone, we can do it through the mobile phone. So, long answer, but you had two questions.
Okay, maybe the lady there was second.
Yeah. I'm sitting here listening, and I've been in the education field for a long time. And at our school, we have the smart boards, we have the internet, we have the laptops, we have, you name it, the wireless, the whole bit. And what's ironic is that the chancellor's regulations is that the students can't bring cell phones to school, okay? So now I'm thinking in terms of how do we change the population's mind, the people who have been in the system for a while, to say, well, there are things that we can do in terms of the mobility and that. And immediately as I'm sitting here and thinking, I'm thinking of credit recovery. I'm thinking about students who have very differentiated instructional needs. I'm thinking about students who are special ed students. I'm thinking about homebound students. I'm thinking about students who are accelerated and they want to actually take more advanced courses. I'm thinking about students who perhaps also want to do foreign languages and it's not being offered in the schools. So I think that if we look at that particular approach of how then when a student comes to school with a cell phone or mobile device, rather than us taking it at scanning or saying you can't bring it in at scanning or looking at it saying, well, you're going to do something weird or dark, utilizing it, perhaps we need to look at those aspects of society where there are needs that can accommodate the students, the differentiated students in our system that the mobile can do. And I think if we take that approach, then it's not hard to convince people of what the validity of the future is.
Thank you very much. And I think that is almost the same situation to Japan or Korea or every other countries with highly saturated mobiles. And I told you, I presented to you today that there is a kind of very regimented atmosphere about the children's usage of the mobile in classroom. And in some city, they ban to use these kind of things. But it's very interesting that in that city, that's very near to my hometown, so I know very well that the leading school teachers have protested very much because they've already made some mutual promise or kind of the they are discussing with their students how to use the mobile in the classroom, or when you can use this kind of thing, or so they ask the students generally do not make the sound or something like that during the classroom, but you can use that at the circle or something like that. Or they also put some educational stuff on the mobile and use that in the educational way. So among the student and the teacher, they in some school, good school, they are discussing each other and make their own program or promise or something like that. So top-down, order is very hard even for the school teachers. And there are many these kind of cases in Japan, not so systematically, but in some region, people, students and the teachers get together and do this kind of thing voluntarily and mutually. And what I learned from this kind of case is that, it's different from radio or TV, and mobile is a very ubiquitous and portable things. And in some time, teacher should change their mind, and sometimes they can they should discuss with the children how to use or how to keep the classroom even after the mobile tsunami.
Well, maybe I can add to that from our perspective. I think the challenge is, I don't think it's just about so much about the technology, but it's really about deeply ingrained decades of practice of ritual, what learning means, right? So which has to do with particular roles that a teacher inhabits and that a student inhabits, right? And so which are really dramatically challenged through the realities of learning. I was just in Moscow and I spoke to 300 people and I asked them, just think of your last learning experience. And so waited a minute and then I said, and now tell me how many of you did that involve somebody in a university? It wasn't very many people. So so what that means, and this was mainly students, and what this means is basically that learning, of course, takes place and always took place also outside institutions of higher learning, and that we just need to accommodate for that, right? And take that into account. But it's really a role change, so it's like a huge social change in a way. It really goes far beyond technology, right? It's a systemic
one
change.
case in Japan is about the language teachers. Elementary school language teachers now they are very they are doing very well about making the short poet by mobile. In Japan, there is a tradition about the short poet like haiku or tanka, and it's very short poet with picture, and get together on the online on the classroom, hold the classroom, and so if it's not a systematical things, but if we have this kind of very symbolic good way to use a mobile for the classroom, it make change something, whole the school, I think.
So we have 3 minutes left, and next in the order was Sam. And if we can add one question, then please.
Thank you. What I'm curious about is, do you see a connection between Japan was first to develop these kind of mobile technologies and the mobile culture surrounding it, and so the culture has in fact been the way that people understand mobile technology is further advanced than we may understand here, and I'm wondering if there's a connection between that and the lost decade and how the development of these mobile technologies might be interrelated with an economy in a recession, which may not be answerable in 3 minutes.
Well, because of the very unique industrial and political situation of Japan's mobile, in Japan there is a very unique mobile culture with cute culture has developed. And this development and uniqueness, both sides of the coin. And those kind of things, I think, as I agree to you, that they happened among the lost decade. And so, yeah, many of Japanese people never understand the other countries' mobile reality, but they said that they are, again and again, said that they are number one mobile, blah, blah, blah. So they believe that, and they are living in a very domestic situation. And so I want to make a comparative cultural perspective for them. But anyhow, the industrial uniqueness and lost decade and the unique cute culture like mobile culture are very much connected to each other.
If I could comment on that too, coming from Finland, we're having a very similar kind of a social reaction to mobile, where Finland once was seen as a leading country, Nokia and all this wonderful innovation coming from Finland. And today when I talk to all the innovators in Finland, there's, oh, Finland has fallen so far behind, we don't do anything innovative anymore. But then when you walk around and you start looking at, half of Finnair's passengers use mobile check-in, and more than half of Finnish public transportation uses mobile payments, and just like all of these kind of things are completely normal. Far advanced. Here, most airports still don't do mobile check-in. So in the United States. So it's difficult for the society itself to examine itself and compare it to someone else. And definitely when I visit with my colleagues in Japan, they're all like, oh, Japan has lost the lead, Tommy. It's now all West Coast America, iPhone, and so forth, and so forth. But then when we look at the most, the CNBC award for the best mobile app of last year was WordLens. If you know the Spanish to English translator, camera phone, instant translator, use your camera phone, read anything in Spanish, it shows you in English. Or you see something in English, read Spanish, it will show it on your screen instantly in Spanish. Instant translator. Wonderful, cool iPhone app. Japan did it 4 years ago, Camera Yiten. Exactly the same. So it wins the award as the best mobile app of 2010, commercially launched in Japan 4 years early. So this is where I mean that even though there's more of that innovation happening around the world, we can still look at Japan today, even with the lost decade, the near-field technology, QR codes, 3G, Wi-Fi, waterproof phones, etc. These are all things that will come.
This gentleman is going to ask the question. This will be the last question.
I'm wondering, Professor Mizukoshi, you keep using the word unique, that sort of thing that they talk about in Nihon Jinron that separates Japan apart. You also talked about Galapagos. Don't you fear that the way the mobile phone is being used right now with social media such as Mixi, that it contributes to the Galapagosation? You even have a phone called Galapagos, but also with Mixi now, that social media service, you can't even register unless you have a Japanese Keitai address. Do you think that there's this inward lookingness, not just that the cell phone culture is also creating, where Japan and its youth keep separating themselves from the rest, and you yourself keep using the word unique, which is something unique to the Japanese, about the only ones who keep saying unique. Where do you see that developing and how it's affecting Japanese youth versus others when we're talking about a world, at least in the internet times, about a global village?
That is very difficult to answer. Well, I understand the dangerousness of the speaking a lot about the unique, and it's very much easily connected to the Nihonjin. But from my very limited empirical and bodily, experience to traveling many countries, not so many, but compared to you, but mainly other countries thinking about the mobile. Well, I think, we should make the quotation mark, but it should say something is very unique in Japan. And I can tell you many empirical data now, but I have a very limited time. So, but it's a bit different from what the Nihon Jinron's talking things. And the other thing is that yes, it's the internet and mobile is a global, potentially the global system of media. But in this stage, the industrial for example, in the worldwide market, only under 5% of the whole occupied by Japanese makers, and in Japan, even Nokia or Samsung are coming, or iPhone is coming. Still, 90% of Japanese device market are occupied by Japanese, and the 90% occupied makers are having only 5%, under 5% of the worldwide market. This is a very stressful and irritating situation for Toshiba or Mitsubishi or others because they are hooking by the chain to the government or something like that. So yeah, I think there is some very merits or feature in Japan's Galapagos situation, but we should examine it in a very careful way and try to release those kind of the potential or possibility to develop in a global way. I think it's not cannot answer in a good way, but I can talk it from now.
Okay. With that, we want to thank the Japan Society and all of you for coming. And our speaker